Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the El Toro's podcast, exclusively now on Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here, let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on things like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast, which is always a plus, with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast right at your fingertips and in one place. I can't believe it took me this long to switch over to Anchor.fm, but I couldn't be happier now. So, get yourself started and download the free Anchor app now, or go to Anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome everyone to episode 40 of the Capital Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Sean O'Brien. You can catch us here every Wednesday afternoon on YouTube via the Capital Wrestling YouTube, or also go to soundcloud.com/ElTorsPodcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Capital Wrestling without the G. Follow me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. You can search Facebook and Instagram for Capital Wrestling, and also go to capitalwrestling@gmail.com. If you have any business inquiries like sponsorships, talent that wants to get booked, just email that email address and go from there. Also, go to brownpapertickets.com, search Capital Wrestling Presents World War IV, or tinyurl.com/capitalww4. Every Monday night, we're live on Twitch at 7:05. Just go to twitch.tv/capitalwrestling, and we're also at gfqlive.tv. You want to get some merchandise? We got beanies, hats, hoodies, onesies, t-shirts. We got new Bastards t-shirts. We have the new Rotunda tee in 5 different colors. Go to whatamaneuver.net and prowrestlingtees.com. And also, if you play 2K18, submit your creator wrestler from the Capital Wrestling roster. Just email that or tweet that to us for a chance to win tickets for the December 29th show. And Groupon.com, go there for a 2 for $20 deal for tickets. So lots of opportunities to get really good deals and really good value with Capital Wrestling. And we have a big show coming up on December 29th, a stacked card. And we've been talking to guests every single week, and now we're doing 2 at a time just to get every single guy on the card so we can hear their thoughts on everything. And a little bit later on, we're going to talk to Matt MacIntosh, the Bad Apple, before his 5-way match, the 5-way dance for the number 1 contendership of the Capital Wrestling title. But before we get to that, we're going to talk to a very special guest, and he's donning the mask for Capital Wrestling Presents World War IV. He is none other than the Master of Excellence.
It's going pretty good.
So, this is kind of like an alter ego of Preston Quinn, correct?
It's what's come about out of pure necessity for what's going on in the wrestling business today.
Mm-hmm. And what is that necessity, and what is going on in the wrestling business, in your opinion?
Wrestling right now is unwatchable. It's disgusting. It's nothing like what professional wrestling was intended to be. You've got guys out there just making a mockery of the business because they want to impress people in the back instead of impressing the people that are buying the tickets. So you've heard it from other veterans before. It's been a constant among guys that have been in the business for decades, and it's time that somebody became the executioner or an assassin, so to speak, against the modern day wrestling. So they basically got to be taught a lesson. Mm-hmm. And whether it's a lesson of elimination or whether it's a lesson of veteranship, wherever it takes, that's what's got to be done. Mm-hmm. And I've just taken that to the next level because, frankly, I'm tired of seeing garbage that I'm seeing in wrestling today.
Yeah, I can see that. There's a lot of times where these guys are doing some of these moves, and it gets a little bit repetitive, a little overdone at times.
Yeah, it's not a lot of thought put into it. It's a lot of guys doing a whole bunch of flips and doing a whole bunch of stuff to show everybody that they were great gymnasts when they were in school. Yeah, real guys like me in school, we were busting out teeth playing linebacker in football, or we were wrestling. we were doing stuff like that. These guys may as well take ballerina. Yeah, that's great. It's pretty. What you're doing is great. It looks outstanding, but it makes no sense. None of it makes any sense. It wouldn't even make any sense if it was on a Justice League movie right now. None of it physically makes sense what they're doing. The moves make let's do a flip from the rope. Let's land on our opponent's shoulders, and then through some entire reversal of physics, we will flip backwards, and our opponent will then go aerial with us and flip all the way over into a devastating pseudo-sunset flip type of pin. I could get the same reaction out of that same crowd or better by hitting a well-timed belly-to-back suplex than those guys can do doing that, risking both of them's necks.
Mm-hmm. So do you think a lot of these guys are a little bit reckless?
Absolutely, they're reckless. Let's see how they are 5 years down the road. I've been doing this for 23 years. I can still go out and run a 40 as fast as any of these guys at my age and how long I've done this. 5 years into the business acting like that, those guys won't even be able to do a full sprint without hurting.
Mm-hmm.
That's on them. That's because they're working too hard in the ring. They're working too hard to impress the 5% of the crowd that they call smart. And they're working too hard to impress the mark promoters and the guys in the back that the whole buddy system. Oh my God, so-and-so's so good. He's so good. No, he's not. No, he's not. He has no idea how to work. And I get this crap at every show I go to, and this is the result. The master of excellence. I put on the mask, whether it be the masked superstar, whether it be the spoiler, or whether it be the grappler. And it's symbolic because those guys knew exactly what to do with the types of guys that I'm running into on a daily basis on independents all across the United States of America.
Now, do you feel when you put the mask on, you kind of transcend wrestling? And since it's more symbolic?
When a linebacker puts on a helmet in football,
yeah,
he puts on the helmet. He goes into battle. When the Knights of the Round Table put their armor on, they put their helmets on, and they drew the swords, they were ready to go even back then. It is symbolic, and at the same time, it's a mental adjustment that when that goes on, I'm no longer out there to say, hey, let me go out there and have a great match with this kid for 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Make him look good. It ain't about that no more. Now, when I put that mask on, when I put those masks on for Capital Wrestling, the point now is to defend the honor of professional wrestling. You want to go out there and do those pretty little flips, you want to do all that, you're going to get met with a lariat. Excuse me, I was about to cuss on your show. You're going to get met with a lariat by a real heavyweight wrestler, 274 pounds legit. I don't have to jack my weight up because I'm 190 pounds soaking wet. 274, I'm the size of a real man. And when I hit you, you're going to know you got hit by a real man.
Now, you mentioned 23 years in the business. You work smart, not hard. I mean, you do work hard, but you work smarter more often just to prolong your career. Now, talk about your training regimen.
As far as getting in the ring?
Yeah, like in terms of how often you train.
I can out-wrestle almost 99% of everybody I encounter in my sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to train for that. As far as going to the gym, that's a different story.
Yeah.
I go to the gym and lift my ass off. I do my cardio to make sure that I can run with these guys, even, guys half my age. But as far as getting in the ring and actually doing stuff, no.
Mm-hmm.
No. That's something else I can hit on, as a matter of fact.
Go for it.
Anybody that's gone to a wrestling show on an independent level, what's one of the things you always see there when you walk in before they let fans in? What do you see up in the ring?
Guys working.
All the time. All the time.
Mm-hmm. Same
guys. All the time. Be in the ring. I almost cussed again. Be in the ring for an hour before the show, going over stuff. Doing their little flips, springboarding off the ropes, doing all that. Guys get in, vacuum up the ring. What do these guys do? They get back in there anyway and dirty it back up. No respect. Why do they need to have the ring that much?
Yeah.
Are they that inconfident in what they're doing? Or is what they're doing so choreographed and so complicated for them to remember that they got to stand up in that ring and bump constantly for an hour before they let fans in? That's just, that right there tells me, when I see that, I already know what kind of Bush League guy I'm dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Now, Capitol Wrestling recently, actually just today, announced the brand new Sapphire television title belt. And, obviously Mike Law is the television champion, and he is the first to hold this belt. So what are your thoughts on that brand new belt?
From what I understand, you say it's that this came from a sponsorship deal, correct?
It's actually a gentleman's club in Manhattan.
Oh, very, very good. Sounds high class. Though, as a wrestler of the company, I appreciate the partnership and the sponsorship. But as a man of morality, as an old school guy, as a guy that cares about making the money for his family, that's just I find that horrendous that we would have a title sponsored by such a establishment, mm-hmm. so to speak. I know that Capitol Wrestling is kind of a different genre. It's not geared toward children. It's more that type of scene up in the Northeast and everything. And I'm sure it all fits together for them. But as a man that has just a little bit of integrity to himself, that television title, the best thing that could happen to that belt is for somebody to pile drive Mike Law on it and then chuck the whole thing in the garbage.
That sounds like quite a statement right there, but I would expect nothing less from a guy like yourself who tells it like it is.
That's right. That's what I'm here for. Again, the executioner of modern day wrestling. I'm coming to Capitol Wrestling December the 29th. Now, if we can focus more so on my almost 400-pound opponent, Kongo, that's where we're going now.
So I was about to discuss, actually, some of your previous opponents and how your record here in Capitol Wrestling at 2-1. But did you just want to go to Kongo right now?
We can talk about the 2-1 first, and then we're going to let Kongo know what's going to happen to him.
Sure thing. Now, you mentioned Mike Law, and you had a match with him at the second show for Capitol on June 3rd, and that was in the main event of the show. So what are your thoughts on Mike Law and him as television champion?
Mike Law's a good kid. He's a good kid that maybe one day he's going to get it. But what did Mike Law in that main event match? Aside from the fact that he was clearly outclassed wrestling-wise, he was clearly overmatched size-wise. But Mike Law decided he was gonna do little springboards. He was gonna, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna get fancy. Even when he had me rocked, he tried to get fancy. Snatched it. Cobra clutch, ball game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to tell the guys. Get out there and wrestle. Get out there and do what the veteran trainers would teach you to do. When you want to get cute, I'll give you an example, because I know people right now are telling me I'm full of crap. Let me give you an example. If you have a man laying prone in the middle of the ring,
yeah,
and you bounce off the ropes, you get a head of steam, and then you jump up in the air, you do a flip, and you leg drop him. Yeah, like a Harlem Hangover, but off the mat. Okay, let's just say that.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Let's just talk about the Harlem Hangover. Top rope, devastating, flip off the top rope into a leg drop. Am I right?
Yeah.
From a physics standpoint, what is the difference between a Harlem Hangover and an Alabama Jam?
Nothing really.
Nothing. Same impact. But what do you do on a Harlem Hangover different than an Alabama Jam? Complete front flip.
Mm-hmm.
So not only from a psychological standpoint do you take your eyes off your opponent when you do the move, but you increase your chance of killing yourself and or your opponent by doing one different thing in the move because you want everybody to give you that little pop. You put it all on the line for that little ooh. Why?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm into. The guys that would rather do that than just win the match. Just get the job done.
And your first win actually was in the first ever main event for Capital Wrestling. That was the three-way dance with Logan Easton Leroux and LSG. And that's just two more examples, in your opinion, of guys who are looking to do the springboards and the flips and everything.
Absolutely. Running around, their baseball slide drop kicks, and the same old things, the pass-bys, and, let's look like we're wrestling down in Lucha Libre and all that stuff, And on a personal level, I like all these guys. They're all outstanding people. We all had the same dream growing up. Just whatever the vision of that dream is different.
Yeah.
But the integrity of the business is more important than what I think of these guys. And that's why I'm forced to do the things that I'm going to be doing in Capital Wrestling.
So pretty much your smarts and your style is what got you that win in that first ever main event.
Absolutely. I let them go up there and flip all over each other and pound on each other and do all that. And what was the finish? What was the finisher?
The pile driver.
Pile driver had been around for how long? Since, Lord knows, the 50s or 60s. It's been banned in 13 states in the United States legitimately. Mm-hmm. There's a reason for that. So everybody else is being human missiles and doing springboard flying forearms. I'm making dudes 3 inches shorter with the move that is 50, 60, 70 years old.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's been banned in various states, and obviously the company out of Connecticut does not use it, aside from the Tombstone. That was your first match, but your most recent match saw another Battle of the Hosses with you fought DJ Hyde, and you actually came up short in that match. So how is that going to affect your mentality heading into this match versus Wildman Kongo?
That actually is what pushed me over the edge to go ahead and do this, because DJ Hyde, though a hoss or a boss or whatever they called him, he's still a face of what's the problem with wrestling now. As a guy that was one of the top guys in Combat Zone Wrestling, which is complete garbage pail wrestling, he was one that I wanted to make an example of, but because I had to play ball and do the right thing, I held back, and I tried to do what was best for business, and I didn't give it the extra that I thought that I didn't have to give it to win. Maybe it was a little underestimation, okay? Mm-hmm. But the fact is, after I got beat by a guy I would consider one of the faces of this modern-day garbage movement, that sprung a leak in the pain train that caused me to say, you know what, now's the time. I've thought about it. This is the time to do it. This is the time for me to make the mark and try to stop this downhill spiral that's going on in professional wrestling.
What was the biggest thing during that match that he surprised you with?
The lariat.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else he did surprise me as much as how hard he hit me with the lariat. Mm-hmm. Like I said before, I'm legitimately 274 pounds, and he almost flipped me. Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely a big dude himself, and watching that one in the crowd, it definitely a battle of the hosses, and obviously Hoss versus Boss. It was being billed.
It was very refreshing, actually, to be able to go toe to toe with somebody like that. But again, I took that personal. I took that loss personal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was just a reminder that I needed to go ahead and uptick it a notch after almost 2.5 decades in this business. It's time for me to do what I was meant to do.
Well, I mean, the best ones are the ones who manage to reinvent themselves, even after, like you said, decades in the business, whether it's a guy like yourself, a guy like Chris Jericho, always trying to do new things to revitalize their career.
You have to. You have to go with what is the right spot in your life at the time. Uh-huh. And whether it be dictated by the business, whether it be dictated by folks around you, or something personal that gets triggered in your life, sometimes that's just, you just have to catch lightning in a bottle. You have to go with that emotion. Mm-hmm. And my emotion right now, and has been for a long time, is to try to straighten out this business in any company that I work for. And I have to start that by dismantling the types of guys that I see in the Northeast constantly. And I'm going to start December the 29th with Kongo.
And that goes right to my next question. You mentioned Wildman Kongo. He's your next opponent. He'll be debuting. He's a very big dude himself, as we already talked about. So what is your mentality going into this one with him?
Currently, I'm 2-0 against Kongo.
Mm-hmm.
But he had to come down to my house. Now I'm coming up to his area. Now I'm coming up around the areas of the concrete jungle, the streets that made him, not too far from Hoboken. Kongo could be one of the best big guys in independent wrestling. Kongo could be on television if Kongo would just grasp what he is. But instead, I pull up social media, and there he is at one of the baseball fields up in New York, jumping off the top rope onto the outside on 4 guys. And I just blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? But it's today's wrestlers. He's a young man that doesn't understand his size and doesn't understand how to use that so that he doesn't end up breaking his leg doing something like that and shortening his career by the impacts that his spine is taking from doing stuff like that. One day he's going to listen. I just hope it's not too late. I hope December the 29th it sinks in when he goes down again, either 1, 2, 3 or the submission. It doesn't matter. It depends on what I feel like doing that night.
Mm-hmm.
Kongo is fantastic. Kongo is a freak of nature for his agility at his size. But the Master of Excellence is a psychological freak of nature. Because I know every form of wrestling. I know everything I need to do to break down a man that size.
Mm-hmm. Now, we don't want you to give away any of your secrets, but at the same time, generally speaking, how different does the moveset look for the Master of Excellence? Is there any a lot of things added or changed?
Watch grappler matches,
Mm-hmm.
watch spoiler matches, and watch Mass Superstar matches.
Mm-hmm.
The irony that I say that is because most people will have to put that in on YouTube and go, who are these guys?
Yeah.
Because if you know anything about a sport, if you love a sport, if you love it, then you do the damn history on it. When I watch sports on television, I follow a team. I want to go back and see how that team got to where it is. I want to know who the stars on that team were. If you're a fan of wrestling right now, if you claim to be a fan of wrestling and not just a silly mark, if you don't know who the grappler is, you don't know who the spoiler is, and you don't know who the Mass Superstar is, you need to stay home. That's all there is to it. You don't deserve to see what I'm going to do to Kongo.
Mm-hmm.
And Lord knows, don't come out there and boo me because you don't understand the tradition that I'm upholding. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the movesets, it's all going to depend on which mask I decide to wear.
Yeah.
If I decide to be the spoiler, then I might walk the rope. I might old school. I might use a claw. If I decide to be the Mass Superstar, I might work his neck. I might hit him with the neck breaker on the concrete floor. I might put him in the cobra hold. I've beat him with that before. The grappler, I may use a questionable boot. Doesn't matter.
And that just goes to show the range of what you can do and how impressive your skill set really is.
Yes, when he sits down to do film study, I want him to be completely oblivious to what I'm actually going to bring to the ring.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
So elsewhere on the card, though, you do have your compatriots with the NRA are involved in a match versus Isaiah Wolf and Hank Flanders. That's the Mofo, Mark Bravura, the Mempho Mofo, Mark Bravura, and Bo Crockett.
Outstanding wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
The last bastion of Southern wrestling, Mark Bravura. And the chip off the old block, Bo Crockett. I mean, there's no way those two guys can lose.
Mm-hmm.
I've had Bo Crockett under my wing now for the last 2 years, and Mark Bavura came to me many years ago, and it was like we were separated at birth. So I have no doubt the NRA will ride high at Hoboken on December 29th.
And do you think a win right there, do you think that lines them up for contention for the Capital Wrestling Tag Team Championships?
Just the fact that we're the NRA should have lined us up already.
Uh-huh.
But, I'm sure Capital will put, instead of giving us the rightful shot at stuff, I'm sure they'll either hand the belt over to a guy that ain't won but a match in the company, or I'm sure they'll put together some type of a 5-way dance to try to dilute the waters so we got a lesser chance of winning the belts.
Well, speaking of which, at the last show, actually, when they named the first ever Capital Wrestling champion, Matthew Ryan Shapiro handed the belt to Ken Dixon. What are your thoughts on that?
Just handed it to him. Yeah, just handed it to him. How do you think Preston Quinn feels about that?
Pissed.
Yeah. So, the belt got handed to a guy that, how many main events did he wrestle in? None?
Yep, none for Capital Wrestling.
None. I'm 2-0 as a main eventer in Capital Wrestling, and I've been at three of the 4 shows. And they hand the belt over to Ken Dixon. Ken Dixon's a good wrestler. I'm not saying anything about Ken Dixon. I like Ken Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't understand where they were coming from when you got a guy right here and Preston Quinn is a master of excellence that can carry a belt like nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Dixon's good. Maybe he deserves it. Maybe he'll be a great champion. But right now, you never heard him wrestle in a main event. So why don't we just throw Preston Quinn against this dummy from Combat Zone Wrestling who hadn't wrestled a match in Capital up to that point? Let's do that after Preston Quinn's won the first 2 main events. And then that's history. And then, hey, Preston Quinn's a popular son of a bitch, so he gets booked everywhere. So he can't make this show, so we're just going to put the belt on Ken Dixon. How about that? Anyways, again, NRA should be in line for every title that you can think of.
So once you are looking to defeat Kongo on the 29th, you believe that gives you a shot at your... I mean, you believe you should have been named champion if they were going to name anybody, but after that win, you definitely think it will put you in line for that title shot.
I wouldn't have wanted them to name me champion.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that is an absolute disgusting way to win a belt.
Mm-hmm.
I want to beat somebody's ass. I want to earn it. I want to remember, hey, when I got this 10 pounds of gold, when I got this, I can remember I hit so-and-so in his forehead so hard with a punch that my knuckle swelled up the size of 2 of my fingers. I remember that, and it was worth it. I remember when I kicked him in his side, I actually felt his rib like bend in and then pop back out. I remember that match. Every time I look at that belt, I think about how many people I've hit with it, how many people I've pile drived on it, how many people that I've stood over top of and held that belt up over them. What's Ken Dixon going to think about? I remember that time I got called to the ring and they handed me the belt. I'm sure Ken really appreciated it too, being the man I know he is.
I remember talking to a lot of people in the Capital Wrestling community. Some people wanted a tournament. Some people wanted whether even like a fatal 4-way, whatever it was. A lot of people wanted it to be decided a different way. So I think they can easily agree with your viewpoint right there.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'm old school, and I want things done in the squared circle. I want things done in front of the crowd. They're the ones buying the ticket, and in no way. As much as my disdain is for modern wrestling, am I in no way going to turn around and crap on the paying customers? Because if they're not there, none of us have a job.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to cheer for me. They don't have to boo me. They don't have to do any of that. They can decide on that. That's completely up to them. They bought the ticket, and it's their right to say and do what they want to do as far as cheering and booing the wrestlers in the ring. Now, the guy that's across from me, he's a piece of crap in my book. I don't like him. I don't care what anybody thinks about what I do to him in the ring. But I'm in there to win matches. So if people like a guy that's going to get in there and get it done, it doesn't have to be flashy. I'm going to go right into that guy. I'm going to bust his ass, because that's what I do. If people like that, then that's on them. If they don't like it, too damn bad. Deal with it.
Now, are there any other matches on this card that have your attention at all, or is it completely you're just horse blinders focused and you don't even care about any other matches on the card?
I don't care. If it's not NRA, I don't care. My NRA brothers will take care of themselves. I have to focus on Kongo.
Yeah.
As much crap as I want to give Kongo, Kongo is a very, very tough opponent. One slip is ball game. So I have to focus on him. Whatever happens on the rest of the card, I got nothing to do with. I can only beat who they put in front of me. One match at a time. I don't have to worry about next week. I don't have to worry about whether I'm going over to Japan. I don't have to worry about the week after that in North Carolina. I don't have to worry about the week after that in Georgia. All I have to worry about is Kongo, because he is a top-notch opponent. And I can't put that over enough. But if Kongo would just grasp what I'm saying, Kongo would be unbeatable.
Now, you're not only a solid main event wrestler and one of the best that Capel has to offer, but you are also a businessman. And now, does the Master of Excellence, does he dabble in the merchandise aspect of it?
No, not at the moment, no. Because with the Master of Excellence, what I have found is that merchandise, for some unknown reason in New Jersey, just sits on the table. So the Master of Excellence won't be wasting his time bringing a suitcase full of merchandise for those bums up in New Jersey that can't even pump their own gas.
I remember that. That is a very common thing that we share that we can't stand about New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey's a pile of crap. And like I said, if people can like me or hate me, it doesn't matter. I'm sure they live there. They know it's a pile of crap. But when you got to park 4 blocks away from the building and I'm blown up before I even walk in the door, yeah, that place is crap. Hoboken's a turd town. So close to New York you can smell it.
Now, is there anything you would like to plug before we get out of here?
As much as it sounds like I'm complaining, I'm not. What I want people to understand is there's a spectrum of entertainment at Capitol Wrestling. You have a field of guys over here that believe that what they're doing is the future of wrestling, it's the now, and that I'm a fossil. And the things that I like and that people don't want anymore, and that's fine. If you people want to buy tickets to see them, they're going to be there. But if you've got a group of people that have come to see hard-nosed, hard-hitting, old-style wrestling, well, you got some guys in the NRA that do that. And you got a little bit of everything in Capitol Wrestling. As much as I bust balls about them giving a belt to somebody, about them having a belt sponsored by a strip club and all that stuff, those guys that run Capitol Wrestling bust their ass to put out a product that they believe is the future of wrestling. Through streaming media, through their social media work, through everything that they're doing digitally, they believe they have the key to where entertainment is going. And I can't say that I doubt them, because I've seen some of the stuff that they do, and they're very impressive. So anybody that's thinking, that's on the fence about going to Hoboken December the 29th, you will indeed get your money's worth, no matter what you like.
Well, we really appreciate your time here today, and we look forward to see what you can do in the ring versus the Wildman Kongo on December 29th.
Yep, you're going to find out.
We're going to take a quick break, guys, but after this, we're going to talk to the Bad Apple, Matt MacIntosh, ahead of his 5-way dance for the #1 contendership for the Capitol Wrestling Championship on December 29th at Capitol Wrestling Presents World War IV. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Capital Wrestling Podcast, episode 40. I'm your host, Sean O'Brien. Follow me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. Follow us on Twitter at Capital Wrestling without the G. I want to thank Preston Quinn for stopping by and discussing what the Master of Excellence is all about, the inspirations, and what the Wildman Kongo is in store for on December 29th. So we cannot wait to see that matchup. Battle of two hosses once again. And it's going to be very interesting. But another interesting matchup we have is the five-way dance for the number one contendership of the Capital Wrestling Championship that Ken Dixon holds and will be defending against John Kerman on December 29th. And that five-way dance includes the Human Rocket LSG, Leon St. Giovanni, the Wrestling God Anthony Gangone, Really Good Ryan Zane, Colossal Mike Law, and our next guest. He is the Bad Apple, Matt MacIntosh. What's up, man?
Same old, another day. How are you?
Doing great, man. Always great to have you on the Capital Wrestling Podcast.
As usual, I appreciate it.
So, man,
thank you for having me.
Oh, man, it's no problem. So, what have you been up to lately?
Just kicking ass, taking names, cashing checks, the usual.
I mean, Battle Club Pro, and what other promotions recently?
I've done Wrestle Pro. Synergy was another up and coming promotion that I just had a show at. I've been blessed to have a couple bookings, so can't really complain.
And what do you think about your year overall in 2017, since it's almost coming to a close?
It was okay. I ended it pretty strong at the end with winning the Wrestle Pro titles about 3 months ago. Just lost them to LAX, but probably not my best year, but a strong year overall, I'd say.
What do you think about your progression, not only in the ring, but as your personality?
I feel like ring-wise, to be honest, I feel like I'm getting a little stale, so I think it might be time to change some stuff up. I feel like I definitely tried to work on my personality a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Try to make money, not making bumps. Maybe talking instead. That might be a nice little change. But that was a big focus going into 2017. I think I made some pretty good strides, so pretty happy with that for sure.
So pretty much work smarter, not harder?
I guess would be a good way to say it, yeah.
I mean, in 2017, like you said, you've accomplished some of the goals you've wanted to, and other ones are, I guess we'll still wait and see. But what about 2018? Have you put any goals out there for yourself just yet?
Not yet. I've still got one more show for the rest of this year, so I think I can sit back and reevaluate before I'm pretty sure I have an early show in January, so I'll take that time between the two to kind of sit back and kind of decide what I want to do, or like what I'd like to accomplish as far as in wrestling and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
A little reflective period for the new year.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the new year, what about like any New Year's resolutions, whether it's not even wrestling related, but anything in your life that you'd like to change?
Save more money. That'd be really good. That's definitely one that I have every year, but never seem to accomplish it as much as I'd like to. But yeah, I'll go with that. I haven't really thought about it that much.
I mean, that'd be a good one, and also, I mean, I guess a lot of popular one, obviously, with everyone in society, especially, is changing their diet, and any foods that you're looking to avoid that it's kind of like your guilty pleasure.
Candy. Really, Mike and Ike's are my crack.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I go to Pennsylvania or I go to a Sheetz, I get the largest bag that they have. And yeah, I think I'm a big sweet eater, so I could definitely skimp on those, I feel, going forward.
Yeah, that's one of my weak spots too, is sweets, occasional soda.
Like a candy, or do you like a cookie, like cake?
I mean, honestly, I'll eat both, but I think candy bars are really easy because you're just like, oh, it's one thing, whatever, and you just grab it.
Right.
Sometimes with the cookies and unless you get I guess in the same vein, if you get Oreos or something, they have those open them up and peel them back, kind of the resealable ones.
Right.
It's too easy, and it's just especially the Oreo thins.
Good point. I'm a chocolate chip guy myself, but I don't really mess with cake unless it's ice cream cake, because that's honestly the only real cake Those crunchies are just amazing.
Carvel is carved out quite a business for themselves.
Yeah, seriously.
Um,
And now I'm about to go ruin my diet, so
this is just the cheat meal show.
essentially, right.
But I mean, I agree. If you're gonna have cake, you might as well go all the way with it instead of just kind of half-ass it.
Exactly. You're gonna have your cake and eat it too.
There you go. All right, years ago when I was working in the grocery store, the one guy would have the damaged cakes and he'd let me give them to me for free. I'm like, oh man, this isn't gonna help my diet.
No, definitely not. Yeah, I used to work in I guess you would call them like fast food establishments, but yeah, you get a little on the heavy side once you start being able to eat for free, and especially food that's probably not great for you.
I guess they should have scales at these places.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Capital Wrestling, there's one thing with the roster we've seen a lot of new faces come in. You came in this year a little bit. I think you've been in the 2 shows in Hoboken.
Yes.
You had the one loss to Mike Law in a really great match, and the next match you fought Anthony Gango in another really competitive match, but you came up short. So what are your takeaways from those matches, and what does it say about the level of competition in Capital Wrestling?
I mean, I obviously got to change some things. I'm 0-2 right now. I'm not really happy about that at all. I don't really know. I don't really know what I expected when I stepped into Capital. I guess maybe I assumed it was just like every other place that didn't take the opportunity to book me when they should have. But, obviously the level of talent there is either just maybe I'm too focused on trying to impress and not trying to get wins. So, that would be a nice goal for 2018 to get a damn victory in the Capitol. But, I'm working on some things. I got the big match coming up on the 29th for the number 1 contendership. And to be honest, I think I'm a lock to win that for sure.
Very confident words, but honestly, I'd expect nothing less from you because you're a very confident guy and you're very talented. I mean, when I watch you in the ring, you can do a lot of things some other guys can't.
It's just, some of us are blessed with God-given abilities, and some of us have to work for things. But I'm luckily in the aforementioned group, and yeah, I mean, what can I say? Just the kind of dealing with the cards that were dealt, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate you putting me over. The more you want to do of that, the better.
No problem here, man. You're really a joy to work with, so I can't complain there. And
it's a really, like, to even get into like some of the I guess like the backstage and pull the fourth wall back and everything. A lot of the stuff that they're doing as far as like interacting with the talent and the setup of everything, it's I don't know. I think it's going to be a big time player coming up in 2018. So I'm happy to be a part of what's going on.
And a big thing about December 29th is it's their first ever live stream show on Twitch. Twitch has got popular for video gaming, people streaming their video game sessions on there, and I guess they're bringing different kinds of content, including Capital Wrestling, to it. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's awesome. I mean, I've known about Twitch for a little bit because of video games, but whatever platform we could get on, it seems to be becoming more and more popular. I don't know what the deal would be with it, with the whole net neutrality thing. I don't think anyone kind of really knows what would happen. But, with YouTube kind of not being a place to go anymore, we're pro wrestlers. I guess we're like cockroaches. You can't really get rid of us. So we're always just going to try to find the next. We're always going to adapt. We're always going to figure out what we got to do to get stuff pushed more into the limelight. And I think it's been a nice steady upswing since probably like 2014, 2015 for especially independent level wrestling.
Yeah.
It's gained a lot of popularity. And, it's a really good time to be involved in wrestling.
I mean, yeah, at one point you had Flow Slam, and then eventually that kind of died out because people in charge weren't making good decisions. But now you got Powerbomb.tv, you got Twitch, you got various things. Obviously, WWE Network is the biggest one. Just various ways to stream wrestling that, and years ago you would never be able to find. I mean, before WWE Network, the only way you could watch kind of old shows or old clips is if you went on YouTube.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like a sign of the times about what's like, how society is changing. No longer are people going to want to, have to sit at, be there on a Monday night for, at 8 o'clock to watch whatever show they want to watch. Everyone's running around like assholes the majority of the time, or at least in the Northeast for sure. But, you got to be able to allow people to access your content whenever they have the ability to. So, things like Netflix and everything, like I know a lot of people, like myself included, I don't even pay for cable anymore because I don't need to. Because I'm okay with the streaming services like Twitch that I have, where I can watch Capital Wrestling, watch me kick the crap out of Mike Law and Anthony Gangone. And yeah, it's just a sign of the times. Like everyone's just so go, 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 go. Like you can't really. And I think the numbers for TV are even down, like substantially. It's a lot easier for me to just sit and binge through, the entire first season of Capital than have to wait week for week.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
whether it's Netflix or other streaming services, and yeah, and that's a really a resourceful and frugal way to get around cable. I mean, it costs so much these days, and really, what are you getting for all that money?
Exactly. And now I'm paying for, like, let's say I pay for WWE Network. That's literally all I watch now. It's pretty sad. Like, it's just nothing but wrestling. But I know that, I'm not paying for a bunch of crap that I don't want. Like, if I'm buying a cable package, I'm getting whatever the hell they want to give me. Whether, I don't need 13 different home improvement networks and stuff like that. Like, I just want to pay for what I want to pay for. And that's what, these platforms kind of let everybody, if they want to watch a particular company, then it's only on one platform. They don't have to pay for a ridiculously expensive one that covers a wide net, but instead they can just focus on, like, Powerbomb TV or Twitch or, well, Flow Slam's dead now, but,
Yeah.
whatever else pops up. Title Match is another one that I know of. So, and even a lot of companies like Monster Factory and MCW have their own that they do. So it's a really cool time it really allows the do-it-yourselfers to kind of separate themselves from the pack, I feel like.
Yeah, shout out to Danny Cage and the Monster Factory, and shout out to Dan McDevitt and MCW doing big things for both of those promotions. And that's one of those things you mentioned, watching W Network and at all times. Who are some of the guys you really look for? What kind of shows do you really look for to get inspiration from, and kind of go from there?
I kind of just bounce around. Like, I recently just finished, like, I think I went almost like 20 episodes into ECW Hardcore TV. And then, like, before that, I was, like, watching clips of the Fabulous Rougeau brothers, or the Fabulous Rougeaus, who were, like, really good for especially for the era that they wrestled in. Like, they did some really cool stuff that I would definitely be trying to steal in some of my upcoming matches. But, like, that's another great thing about WWE is that it's just so widespread. One of my favorite things to watch on it is the Hidden Gems section. I found, like, a real old one. I think it was, like, from the 60s, where it was just, like, a training video of, like, watching guys suplex each other. And it was the weirdest thing, but I just thought it was so cool for some reason because, I'm a big wrestling nerd, I feel, or I hope.
Yeah, I mean, more respect for that. I mean, we're all fans, whether you're wrestlers or podcasters or in the business in some sort of fashion. I mean, when it comes right down to it, we're all fans.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't, you get into it for one reason or another, but you definitely start knowing about it because you're a fan. So,
yeah, I guess some people would make the difference between fan and mark, whatever you want to say. And there's no exact definition for it, but it definitely rubs some people the wrong way.
Yeah, well, there's always going to be somebody trying to make up some term to kind of shoot someone down with and look down upon them with. But like you said, at the end of the, I mean, we're all just a bunch of dudes. Whether you're a wrestler or somebody that buys a ticket to help support the wrestlers and buys merchandise or whatever, we're all just people. So going out and shitting on someone for saying how much they like something, it's just kind of, I don't know. I guess that's what the world has become now, especially with like Twitter and stuff like that. But, we're just, let people like what they like. Shut the fuck up.
It's one of those things too, like where you build people up, whether celebrities or not. You build them up, you tear them down, and then you kind of spit them out, and then you move on to the next one.
Exactly. Like to be honest, I've had conversations with people about this too, but like I'm almost ready to just get rid of Twitter and Facebook completely. I mean, not that like the world would stop or anything like that. I don't even think I have 1,000 followers on Twitter, but like Facebook is people bitching. Twitter just seems to be everyone shitting on each other. I think I'd rather just stick to like Instagram and looking at memes and videos of cute dogs and stuff like that. Like it's just, I don't know. And if going back to net neutrality, if that comes, I might only be able to afford one social media anyway. So.
That's a great point. You bring up the net neutrality. The funny part about that is at the beginning of the day when I think it happened about 1 o'clock in the afternoon and that was announced, and then later on in the day, Star Wars came out. So by the next day, no one was talking about net neutrality anymore. Everyone was talking about Star Wars. I'm like, oh, there go your priorities.
Yeah, interesting, right?
Yeah, just how quickly we move on, really.
Yeah, it's we have the attention span of mosquitoes.
And that's why we're the meme generation, really.
Yeah. But I don't know. I got a couple buddies that would probably tell you too that was like a planned thing. The net neutrality vote goes through, and then Star Wars gets released not too soon after, so that everyone starts talking about that instead.
Bring out the conspiracy theories.
Oh man, I mean they're fun to think about.
Yeah, you crack open a few beers and start chatting those.
Yeah, you start getting into a real deep wormhole.
Now you mentioned that the video, the hidden gem on W Network, and I'm just curious, when you're watching that training video, was there any vast differences in terms of like techniques they use and stuff like that? And
yeah, I guess like it was, it was a while ago, so it was more presented as a legitimate competition, I guess. So there were, you could tell like the different holds that guys were using. Or like it was basically just a bunch of suplexes, but like they were actual like grips, different styles of grips, different. The guys were actually throwing their hips through and making it look like they're the ones doing the work, picking up the guy instead of it looking as more of like a two guys working in unison kind of. And it was just but you could still kind of tell. You see the guys slapping out for bumps and everything, and. But yeah, it was just the presentation. It was presented more as like an actual sport, I guess, than an entertainment, like something to come and see it all.
Mm-hmm. Now that brings to mind what recently happened at Ring of Honor. I guess we had the Young Bucks, you had Flip Gordon, and there was a lot of I guess people up in arms about the fact that they were doing a sequence that. I think a few guys in the business called gymnastics. What do you think about when people talk about like that and like I guess back to Osprey and Ricochet had something similar where people don't call it wrestling, they think it's gymnastics.
Yeah, but they're all over shit.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's working for them, I don't really think that. I feel like. See, this is a topic that could probably either get me into a lot of trouble, or it could get me into a little bit of trouble. But I'm going to keep going with it anyway because whatever. I feel like there needs to be like with the fact that everyone's kind of in on everything. You kind of have to pull off some like you can't just brawl around the ring anymore.
Yeah,
like, no one's going to believe it, especially with UFC. Like, how are you not bleeding as soon as I catch you with something? Like, or like, what I'm going to stand up there and do 10 punches. Like, as long as the crowd is reacting and they're happy, you can't really fucking say anything. Like, I don't, just let people do what they want to do, in my opinion. If that's working for them, let it work for them. What works for them isn't going to work for somebody else, and vice versa. So there's to quote, I think Buck would say this all the time, Pat Buck, it's an ice cream shop, man. There's multiple flavors of ice cream. And people are going to like different things. So, Cormier likes to see pile drivers and shit like that. Cool. Tell him to go watch a Memphis match from, when Lawler was rocking the territory.
Mm-hmm.
You can go do that now. Somewhere probably has that footage. Someone has the rights to those tapes. But, people right now, they want to see, the diehard fan base that Ring of Honor has, the diehard wrestling fan base, they want to see more of a video game-like match with crazy, insane athletic moves rather than the family-friendly crowd that, might catch WrestleMania once a year, but that's it. Who wants to see, a lot more of a slowed down, slow pace, story based style?
Yeah.
And then you can mix the two. So it's like, who's right?
Yeah, it's
one's really right.
It's a very subjective thing, and like you say, people are going to enjoy one thing, some people enjoy another. I may not like certain things, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that I have a preference, and the thing is, it's kind of like people having an opinion on anything. You just have to respect it, and once you stop respecting it and thinking you're right over everything, that's where it all goes to shit.
Exactly. Once people stop listening and just start waiting for their turn to speak, I feel like that's where a lot of issues. No one really listens anymore. Everyone's kind of, they hear what you're saying, but they're just waiting for their to get their comeback in to prove oh no, you're wrong, I'm right.
It's
probably a sign of the times, I guess. I don't know.
I've been there before with that way of thinking, or at least that doing that in the past. But then you learn from that, and I've learned by being especially with podcasting, I let people flesh out their thoughts so they can really go through with them. So because sometimes if you cut people off, then you're in trouble.
Yeah. It's basic communication. You got to let people. Some people take longer to make points. Some people are able to get to their point a lot quicker. Obviously, not me, as I stumble on my words. But yeah, it's just you got to be able to kind of see what kind of wavelengths I guess someone's on, and then just be able to kind of adapt to that. And it's a skill, just like being able to take bumps and do a lot of flips and drop kicks.
And recently, one of your former opponents, the Capital Wrestling Television champion, Mike Law, was presented with the brand new Sapphire, or he will be presented with the brand new Sapphire title belt at the December 29th World War IV show. And they just showed the belt on Twitter, I think it was the last week or the week before. And, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a really, really nice looking belt.
Uh-huh.
Is it still being called the Television Championship?
Yeah, I believe it's the Sapphire Capital Wrestling Sapphire Television Championship. Add some more words to it, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Alphabet Soup Championship. It's a gorgeous belt. I've heard mixed reviews as well about it, but at the same time, it has people talking. So that's kind of the point. I've had people ask me about it. I think Maximus Sex Power, give him a shout out if he's listening. Hit me up on Twitter asking him if he could get a ride to the show so that he could win that, because he could definitely win the strip club belt, or the gentleman's club belt rather. But yeah, it's wrestling. Wrestling, and Roddy Piper said in his book a lot that wrestling and strippers have a lot in common. Or wrestlers and strippers, rather. It's a gorgeous belt. A lot of people don't have belts even half as nice as that, or to be using some replica. So, I think it's awesome. I can't wait to take it from Mike Law. And yeah, I think more people should probably, it's a smart business plan. You're working with a company. They're advertised because they're on one of the championships. One of the most coveted things within the company.
Yeah.
And one hand is washing the other. So I think it's a smart move by Capital Management. And can't wait to take that belt from Mike Law. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, and speaking of belts, we at the last show we had Ken Dixon named as the Capital Wrestling Champion by Matthew Ryan Shapiro. And obviously that's a belt you guys will be competing for the number one contendership in the next show, the 5-way dance. What do you think about that way that Ken was named champion?
I mean, if you watch Capital TV after my match with Gango, I had some words for Marcus, but and I'll leave it at that because I'm still paying off that fine that I received, which I think is complete bullshit. But that's a story for another podcast. I think Dixon should just take as many pictures, put himself over as much as he can with that belt now, because I'm going to win that 5-way dance, and one way or another, I'm ripping that belt from his cold, lifeless body.
And you do bring up that 5-way dance, which now we're finally going to get touch on right now. And, I mean, it's a pretty stacked field when you look at it, including yourself. You've also got LSG, you got Anthony Gangone, you got Ryan Zane, and you've got Colossal Mike Law. The Capital Wrestling Television champion. He's looking to become the first ever dual champion sometime next year. So, what are your thoughts on the field there? I mean, or at least, we'll go one by one. What do you think about Mike?
I've had my thoughts on Mike. And we did go 1-on-1, and I'm still 1,000 times better than he is. The only man that he's held there's going to be. Let's say he does go on to win the Capital Championship. That would be his third belt, because this TV title belt has changed from the Intergender Championship of the World to now it's a TV title.
Yeah.
How much more of a silver platter do you want to give this guy? He's a formidable opponent. I mean, he's proved that already. I'm not saying anything against his ability. I'm just saying you take his ability and you multiply it by 100, and then you have about the level of my ability.
I mean, we're doing numbers here on the Capital Wrestling Podcast.
That's right.
It's like Scott Steiner almost with his promo.
Slightly. I don't think I'll be that accurate, but I'm going to try to keep it to ones and zeros for the majority of the part. Clearly, I'm a human calculator. You're
doing the matrix here. You're the ones and zeros, the binaries.
Exactly.
Speaking of another former opponent, obviously we've touched on Gangone, and now he's in this field as well. So I mean, that's a different dynamic, not just going 1-on-1, but having him be a part of three other guys you're going to face.
Yeah, and I mean Gangone again, so quiet. Comes in wearing a cool mask, got the feathers and everything going. Another guy, very formidable. He's done a lot of things all over the independents. One of the more underrated guys and probably underutilized guys in the business. We're comparing apples to oranges again. You see what I'm getting at?
Good one.
I mean? I don't know. It's just I just see myself on a certain level, and I'm not saying that these guys aren't on my level, but they're almost there. Exactly.
And then now we also, one that I think surprised some people was Ryan Zane. Really good Ryan Zane being named to the field. We've seen him with the Danger Family and the Danger Sanctuary. So essentially you're saying that no matter what, Ryan Zane, you don't see him on your level either right now, so that you're going to, vanquish him as well in this 5-way dance.
I not only do I not see him on my level, I've never seen this man in my entire life. I don't.
I guess Ryan Zane, if he was here, he'd tell MacIntosh to get some glasses, but he's not. But I mean, I guess you'll see him on December 29th. So we'll. I mean, it's probably.
Will I I guess so. I guess you're right. I guess you're right.
Unless he's like John Cena, and he's
Well, then that puts him at hell of an advantage, I would say.
He's so pretty much Ryan Zane right now. You're John Cena, just to let you know.
Yeah. Seriously.
And
John Cena.
And there's one guy who's coming back to Capital Wrestling, and he was on the first ever show back on March 25th. It was that 3-way dance, the first ever main event for Capital Wrestling versus Preston Quinn and Logan Easton LaRoe. And that's the Human Rocket, Leon St. Giovanni. And he's coming back, and have you guys faced each other before?
We might have, not 1-on-1, that's for sure.
So what do you feel about him being? I mean, obviously, you've kind of lumped them into the same thing where they're not on your level quite yet. But just in terms of...
I think we've established that none of these guys are on my level, okay? Stop putting me over so hard, kid. Ease up on the throttle a little bit, pump the brakes.
So that's your words that you've established, and what do you think he brings to the table for this match?
Other than, like, all right, let's be honest. What the hell kind of a nickname is the Human Rocket? Like really? You see what I'm saying?
I mean, he flies.
But does he fly? Does he really fly? I mean, I get it. He might be all over the place and coming off, but like, are you like you can't just pick two things that have nothing to do with each other. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, he could fly as high as he wants, but he's not going to be on the level of the Bad Apple, and that's for sure.
And you've already had your word for Ken Dixon if you were to win this 5-way dance, and what you would do after that.
That's right.
Now let's just play a little fantasy booking. What happens if John Kerman wins the Capital Wrestling Championship? What kind of challenge would that present to you down the line?
I would make sure that I would park far away from the building so that my windows don't get broken.
And if no one understands that, it's that reference that Capital Combat match back in I think it was July that they had, and Kerman went through a car door, everyone. So, and he remained unscathed. So that's one pretty tough dude. You don't want to mess with him, but that would be actually a fun future matchup just to think about, you and Kerman.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be fun. I don't mind beating the shit out of an MMA dude.
I mean, that's just going to be a fun match. I can't wait to see what you guys do in that 5-way dance. I mean, the only other match that I was going to discuss right now that the elsewhere in the card that seems really, really interesting in terms of the stipulation is the Packy Chip Death Match. Have you had a Packy Chip?
No.
Will you ever have one?
Probably not, because I will cry if I eat spicy food.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man, so I don't blame you. But, I mean, if a guy like Jeff Cannonball, he said he's tried it, and it's one of the worst things he's ever tried, and he's tried a lot of spicy things, then if it's challenging him, then Jesus. Yeah,
so what is it, like, how does this match work?
I'm assuming it's just kind of like a normal singles match, but the loser has to eat a Packy Chip.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't know. All I know is I've been avoiding Jeff Cannonball like the plague because he's been trying to get me on his vegan hot sauce podcast or the Flaming Table. No,
yeah,
it's not a podcast.
The YouTube show.
Vlog? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess the YouTube show.
Yeah, it's hilarious, but yeah, I don't do well with spicy stuff. So yeah, more power to those guys.
I think recently did these what was it called? Oh, the lollipops called the Devil's Toe.
Huh.
And yeah, and they were suffering. I'm like, I can't imagine why you'd ever make a spicy lollipop.
Yeah, kind of like, and it's not, at least like the chip you could like eat relatively quickly. Like a lollipop is something that you're gonna have to like work at for a while.
And as it continues to burn your throat continuously.
Exactly. It's like, why would you do that to yourself? I don't know.
But
it's too easy for people to live these days. They need some sort of thrill, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, these challenges, anything to get some likes and stuff on YouTube. But hey, like we said, more power to those guys doing whether it's on the Flaming Table or other things, eating those spicy things. I can't do it, so more power to them.
Exactly. Yeah, more power to you. Cheers to you.
So anybody on the fence who think about coming to Capital Wrestling this on December 29th, what are your words to them?
Don't be a Scrooge. Spend your damn Christmas money. Come out and watch the Bad Apple steal the damn show as per tradition. Yeah, I mean, like, what more do you need? How many seats do you think that right there sold?
And I mean,
probably 100.
At least 100, maybe 150.
Well, I'm trying to keep it to ones and zeros for simplicity of the audience.
Sorry, that 5 threw everyone off.
That's probably like closer to the actual number, but yeah, easily 100, easily.
I mean, that brings to mind. I mean, aside from winning the 5-way dance, what does Matt MacIntosh want for Christmas?
That's a good question. What does the man that have everything need? You know.
That's a good one.
That's a good question. I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you.
So pretty much right now, when people are asking for to Christmas shop for you, really don't know what to tell them. So you're gonna get maybe a gift card or some money.
Give me money. Yeah, money would be good. Cash is king.
There you go, everyone. If you're looking to give Matt MacIntosh a present this Christmas, give him cash.
That's it.
Don't give him
cash. Cold hard cash.
Cash is king, and on December 29th, you're going to be looking to be king of that 5-way dance and be number one contender for right now Ken Dixon's belt. But if John Kerman comes away, you could face Ken Dixon down the line. Potentially, I believe it is in February when their next show is. But man, it's been a great time getting to talk to you and getting your thoughts on the most of the card and your match and everything that's been going on with you. Any plugs you'd like to do before we get out of here?
Bad Apple Pro on all social media. As long as I keep it up. Send me pictures of your dog. I like dogs.
Yeah. Any new merchandise for sale?
Working on some stuff. Hopefully we'll have it in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully some T-shirts, some Apple related memorabilia, stuff like that.
There we go. I mean, I think is it the T-shirts you take and wrap around your face, or is those actual bandanas?
They're actually bandanas.
And do you sell those?
So working on getting more of those too.
Okay, those could easily be a really popular one and pretty easy to buy, easy to produce.
Yeah, they're not too bad. The ones I have now, I'm not like the biggest fan of as far as like the quality. But I'm looking into a bunch of different other kind of ways to do it. I was actually looking at a face shield to get. I just got to see how expensive that they would be to make and whether or not it'd be worth to actually get them done.
If anything, that would probably be worth it just for yourself to have to come out.
Yeah, because I'd definitely be able to breathe, because those things are not really the easiest thing to breathe with, especially when you pour water all over yourself. You basically start waterboarding. It's just it's a bad idea.
I never knew why the shield went away from those face masks. They were pretty cool and they got rid of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're doing okay without them though.
I guess so. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but I don't know. A lot of people are starting to do masks anyway these days. It seems like, especially with OVE on Impact, and it's a popular thing. So maybe it'll be time to start looking for something else.
Yeah, exactly. You got to stand out, and that's what the beautiful thing about the wrestling business, is reinventing yourself and just doing different things and going down other paths.
Yeah, try some shit out. Throw some shit at the wall, see what sticks.
But Matt, I mean, really, once again, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast this week.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it, as usual.
Oh, my pleasure, man. And once again, you can see him on December 29th at 5-way dance for the number one contendership of the Capital Wrestling Championship. It's at 301 Garden Street, Hoboken, New Jersey. That's the Hopes Community Center. And it's going to be a pretty stacked card, my friends. The Memphis Mofo, Mark Bravura, and Bo Crockett. They'll actually be taking on Joey Ace and Ronnie Burton. You're going to have the Package Chip Death Match, Jeff Cannonball and Logan Black. You're going to have the Match of Excellence taking on the debuting Wildman Kongo. Ken Dixon defends his Capital Wrestling Championship versus John Kerman. The Bastards will be taking on Team Capital with we'll see Matthew Ryan Shapiro's first ever performance in ring. And once again the 5-way dance. There's going to be some pre-show action. So once again the doors open at 7. The card starts at 8. And you can go on Groupon.com, get your 2 for $20 deal. Visit us at Twitch at 7:05 every Monday, twitch.tv/Capital Wrestling. Go to brownpapertickets.com. Search Capital Wrestling Presents World War IV. And any other business inquiries, sponsorships, talent looking to get on the roster, go to capitalwrestling@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at Capital Wrestling without the G. Find me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. And we'll be here every Wednesday. Just catch us on youtube.com, search Capital Wrestling, and soundcloud.com/LTours Podcast. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. I also want to thank my guest tonight, Matt MacIntosh, also Preston Quinn. So we can't wait to see them on December 29th, and we will see you guys here next week.